podcast is going to be all about bariatric surgery. How did we get there? What did it look like? And then why did we start a podcast?
Love it. Little bit of intro and history for you.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to dive deep into intro and history, and then obviously just a ton of banter as well. And be prepared, folks. We're going to go very off script and just talk about anything and everything.
I love it.
How was your weekend, Steph?
You know what? It wasn't too bad. It's one of those weekends of getting stuff done. We have back into the routine of things after the holiday break and getting the kids back into gymnastics and getting ready for school, and today's grocery shopping day. So, the weekends that are full of the adulting things.
Ugh, adulting. It is quite possibly the worst. It's also insane that it's been less than 2 weeks-ish since Christmas.
It's crazy.
Like January is on its 100th day, so I don't quite know how Christmas was like 2 weeks ago.
I was very lucky to have a break over the holidays because I was off recently for my surgery and came back to work just before the holidays with vacation days to use up. So
okay,
I felt a little bad. I felt a little bad booking holidays after just coming back. But I was really excited.
Feel bad.
No, and I was really excited until I then quickly clued into the fact that I would be home for 2 weeks all day with my children while they were on break. And then I missed work. So, yeah, I can't believe how the month is going so far.
Yeah, I'm kind of dumbfounded. I did not have vacation time, only because I started a new job, not because they're not giving out vacation time. And then I went and got lovely pneumonia, so I ended up getting 2 weeks off anyway. But
so brutal.
Yeah, I was not impressed, but then I was like, ooh, 2 weeks off though, without having to use vacation days.
Maybe I'll take that.
Yeah. And I was like, hey guys, I really don't think I can come in. I'm in the hospital. No. They were really great about it though. But yes, it's hard to believe that the 20th of December, I was in the hospital, and it's like, wow, that was not that long ago.
No, but I'll be honest. I live in a area where we get a lot of snow. And as somebody who is not a winter person and not a fan of the snow, it's beautiful to look at, don't get me wrong, but I am anxiously awaiting for the next few months to go be over and get spring back. I'm done with winter.
Yeah, I can't wait either. I'm not a winter person. I'm going to run away to Florida here in a few weeks, and I'm hoping it's just glorious and I might not ever come back. But
I wouldn't blame you.
The weather this year has just been brutal. For those who don't know, we probably should have said, we're Canadian.
We're in Canada.
Surprise. You couldn't tell from our accents maybe, but we are Canadians who both live outside of Toronto, Ontario, in slightly different parts, but not too far away from each other. So if you're not from Canada, it's been shrivelingly cold this winter.
Oh my gosh. It's been an interesting winter. It was very up and down before winter, and we had some really great teaser days.
Yeah.
And then it just hit us hard. So I can't wait, even just to be able to go outside for walks and the sunshine.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I was loving my lunchtime walks when I was recovering from surgery and being able to get outside. And it was just that perfect, end of October, early November temperature with a sweater. And being inside on a treadmill is just not the same. I could go outside, but I'm also that person who I fall every winter to the point of where my it's to the point of where my family will watch me from the windows if I have to go outside for any reason whatsoever, because they just know it's going to happen.
Oh, no.
So I don't typically go for walks outside in the winter because I did fall this winter already. So it's just not, it's not the same. So I'm anxiously awaiting that nice weather to get outside and take the dog out. And
for those lovely people not situated in Canada during the winter, for a little just how cold is cold, it's been about -25 to -30 most nights. I can't do the math and convert that.
Neither. I Google it.
Fahrenheit to Celsius, or is it Celsius to that makes me sound like a total idiot.
I Google it all the time.
It's cold.
It's real cold.
So
It's like hurt your
it's
face
cold,
cold.
y'all. It's cold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very, very, very cold with a lot of wind. And unfortunately, the rest of the month is lining up to be -24, -25, -27.
It's just not fun to
Ugh.
we're so focused on moving our bodies and getting workouts in and getting your fresh air and getting your sunshine, which is amazing, but it just makes it really hard. And when it's dark until 8 o'clock in the morning, it's hard to get that motivation to get up. And I was
Mhm.
going to the gym before surgery at 5:30 in the morning with my neighbors. And now do you think I'm getting up at
Nope.
5:30 to go brush my car off in -20-degree weather? Definitely
No.
not.
No.
Should I be? 100%. But it's just, yeah, it's not my favorite time of year.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen.
No.
So, yeah, and that's what we've been dealing with this weekend is super cold weather. I'm excited to be in the studio recording this and not thinking about how cold
Yes.
it is outside and preparing for warmer days ahead because you're right, a treadmill is not the same as outside. And we're in for a long January. So hopefully in
We can do it.
February we get back to last year we had a week in February where it was 22 degrees just
Oh my
randomly
gosh,
in
it
the
was
middle of
beautiful.
February. It was like summer. That's hot for
I'll take
Canada.
it.
Mhm.
I'll take it. But you know
So,
what? We're gonna plow through and we're
we got
gonna
this.
we're gonna do it. We can do it.
We can figure this out. So, that's probably a great place for us to start diving into our actual episode. We're going to banter about the weather in Canada, but I think it's time just to let people know who we are, what surgery we both had, and maybe kind of how far we are post op. I think would be great to let them know who are their hosts. You want to
Perfect.
start, Steph?
Sure. So I am about 10 weeks post op VSG, which is
Ooh.
vertical sleeve gastrectomy, which is one of the lesser invasive options in terms of weight loss surgery, which is what we also refer to as bariatric surgery. So, obviously, as Hannah said, we are Canadian, we are in Ontario. That's where I had my surgery. What basically happens with that is it is laparoscopic surgery, meaning they go in with just a few little incisions. I have about 5 incisions that are about an inch or so across my abdomen. And Hannah, we've talked about this, but I'm pretty sure also that it's robotic surgery. I
I'm
don't
like
know for sure, but
90% sure.
I'm pretty sure I saw a robot when I walked in there. It's a little bit of a blur, but I'm
Could have
pretty
been the
sure it was in there.
morphine, could have been
Could have
me.
been
Can't tell.
right, right, exactly. So it's very quick recovery, which is great. So for me, I live about 2 hours away from the hospital that I had my surgery in. But typically speaking, it's a fairly straightforward procedure. It's day surgery for most individuals here. But because of where I live, I ended up staying overnight, which was fine. But I had my surgery early in the morning, about 10 o'clock in the morning. It's about, give or take, 45 minutes of a procedure. And then I was back in my room very shortly after. I was up and walking within about an hour and a half to 2 hours after my surgery. I was
Yeah.
sipping fluids. I was texting. I was talking. And within a couple hours, I was pretty much on my own. Up and walking every hour, moving around okay, a little bit of soreness, a little bit of tightness, a little bit of nausea here and there. But overall, I will say, and I'm sure I'll say this many times throughout our episodes, I was just very pleasantly surprised with how, I'm not gonna say easy, but how smooth of a procedure it was. I was home. I was released first thing the next morning. I was home. That was a Saturday that I came home. And by Monday morning, my husband was back at work. I was up getting the kids ready for school, making lunches, looking after myself. So, all in all, a really great experience. So, as I said, I'm about 10 weeks post op, just over 2 months. I'm down 51 pounds.
Woohoo.
Yeah, still a ways to go, but moving along. New challenges
That's
every
incredible.
day, new lessons every day. But all in all, really happy with my journey so far with this decision and what I've experienced.
Oh man, you should be. Like, it's huge. It's huge just to get to the stage of actually doing this, because the lead up
Yeah.
to it, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the lead up to it is long and can give you many options to be like, maybe I don't want to do this. So,
Is this the right decision?
oh boy. But no, to be
Yeah.
2.5 months post op, 50 pounds down, like, it's absolutely incredible. You've been crushing it because this is a lot
Thanks.
of work, which we'll also talk about
Yeah.
a little bit. But no, good job.
Thanks.
Um, I'm Hannah, the other person talking on this podcast. I am 2 years, or just shy of 2 years. I'll be 2 years March 13th of 2025. 2 years post-op. I had the exact same surgery, the sleeve surgery, where they basically inflate your stomach, cut out 80% of it, and leave you with a little sleeve from esophagus down to your intestines, so that you can't hold as much food. You don't have as much to break down. You absorb things just slightly differently, but not too much. The reason I picked sleeve was for the recovery. Now, they did say you might lose less weight than other options, but the big selling feature was day surgery on your feet the next day, quickest recovery out of all of them. And that really appealed to me being in my 30s. I didn't want to be laid out on the couch, months of recovery. Like, that just didn't
Yeah.
interest me at all. And my mentality was, I can do this. If you just help me, I will put the work in. I will work out, exercise, eat well. Like, I will do this. So I picked the non invasive one because I believed I could make it work. The other option, there's many, I should say there's like 5 or 6 options, but typically the two options you're given are, do you want sleeve or do you want bypass? Bypass being the more invasive of the two, where they basically connect your, and I'm just kind of like very layman's terming this, but you basically connect your esophagus to your lower intestines,
Yeah.
completely skipping your stomach and your small intestines. And this kind of causes you to lose weight through malabsorption. You obviously cannot absorb things the way other people did. Having literally no pouch or anywhere to kind of put your food, you can only eat a certain amount. You really can't eat high fat, high sugar, or a lot of other things because your body just can no longer digest it, break it down, or handle it. It is usually mandatory for those with diabetes, chronic illnesses, or over a certain weight threshold, because sleeve just would not work for them.
Yeah.
So, usually, if you are relatively healthy at a relatively normal BMI, obese range, so I think it's under 400 pounds, you'll get the option between the two. They will push bypass heavily, but sleeve can be just as successful. The only reason they prefer bypass is it is less hard to regain the weight
Yeah.
because of how drastically it changes your anatomy and your body. But like I said, I was committed that I was going to do this. My mom is a retired nurse, and I talked with her at length. And she said, I really just don't think you should be altering your anatomy at this age. Like, I think sleeve sounds like it's the better option, and that you'll just put the work in and make it successful. So I took
Yep.
sleeve. I am, like I said, 2 years post op, had it done at the exact same clinic Steph did. I've lost over 150 pounds and counting. I am still
Which
on my
is
weight loss journey.
incredible.
Yeah, that's a whole person. I've lost a whole
That's
person. Whole fucking
it's
person.
crazy when you put it in terms like that. I was sitting in the kitchen, ugh, the things kids say. I was standing in the kitchen yesterday, and my oldest daughter looks at me and goes, "Mom, I don't want to be rude, but I don't really think you look different." And
Oh, oh no.
I kind of chuckled, and I was like, "Well, Haley, I've lost 50 pounds."
Yeah.
And she kind of looked at me, and I could tell she didn't get it. And I mean, it's one thing to say 50 pounds, but then I kind of looked at her. I was like, Haley, I've lost more weight than Leah, who's my youngest daughter. I was like,
Yeah.
I've lost more than a full Leah. And then even then I kind of stopped and went, oh my
Holy shit.
God.
Yeah.
Like, and then I think about picking her up, and I was like, I've lost more than a small child. So it's interesting to put it in different terms like that
It
sometimes. Like,
is.
yeah, 150 pounds is friggin' amazing. But then
Yeah.
when you say I lost a whole person, I'm like, oh my
Whole
God.
person. I lost a
Like,
whole person. Like,
yeah,
it's quite insane.
crazy.
I was 315 pounds when I went into surgery. And yeah, to have lost that much is quite
Amazing.
crazy and amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that.
No, and you so you should be.
Yeah, I know. The weird thing is, like, it is hard to almost wrap your head around it because you have goals. So, like, I still have a
Yeah.
weight loss goal I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And the clinic was really upfront that this is not a slow process. Most people lose
Yes.
between 12 and 24 months. They were like, the average people get to their goal weight maybe around 18 to 20, but they said some people take till 24. And it does depend on your goal weight because technically I
Right.
get to set it myself. Now, they
Yes.
will definitely intervene if you're like, hello, I'm 315 pounds and I'd like to be 105. They will intervene and go,
Let's reevaluate.
I'm going to go out on a limb that that's not fucking possible.
Yeah.
But they let you set your own goal weight. And then it's really funny because they check in with you throughout surgery and they go, so
Yes.
how do you feel about your goal weight? And there were so many times I was like, oh my God, I couldn't even give a shit anymore. I was like, if this is as much weight as I lose, I'm so fucking happy where I
Yep.
am. Because you,
Yep.
at the beginning of surgery, you set a very arbitrary number. Most of us way overshoot the fucking runway on the
Oh
number
my
as
gosh.
well. And
Yes.
then they kind of tell you, like, you're going to be fixated on this. And we hope that you become fixated on other things, like the change in
Right.
your mental health and your lifestyle and your fitness and your exercise, that you start to find other things to love and that it's
Mhm.
not just about the weight loss. And that's a big thing, which we'll touch on. But in Canada, they don't want to hear that you just want to do this for weight loss. Like,
Yeah.
they're very big on, like, there has to be more than just how you look, because if
It's
not,
yeah.
psychologically you're not going to do well with this surgery, because sure, you'll lose weight, but body dysmorphia is a motherfucker
Oh my
and the loose
gosh.
skin is a real bitch. And
Oh
if the
Lord.
only thing you're going into the surgery for is because I want to look snatched and hot as fuck, they're
It's
going to
not
be
for you.
like,
It's
ooh,
not for you.
ooh, no, we're going to need like 2 or 3 more pretty solid fucking reasons for you to do this
Yeah.
surgery. Now, they won't say no to you, but they're going to really
There's going to
work
be some
with
hard
you.
conversations that
Yeah.
are going to happen
You're
with
going to
you
be,
because
yeah.
it's got to be more than that physical appearance. And like I said, that's great.
Yeah,
Having an improved physical appearance is great. Building your confidence is great.
sure.
Like we'll talk about, and I've talked to you about before about how like I won't wear a t-shirt in public and I don't own a pair of shorts. Do I want to change? And that's because I don't like the physical look of myself in those things. Do I want that to change? 100%.
Yeah.
But can that be my only big motivating factor on
No,
this?
it can't.
No. And if
No.
that's my only driving factor, then either the surgery is not for me or there's got to be some hard conversations that happen
Yeah, and
around
that's
there
the
too.
thing. Like, okay, so we both had VSG surgery. It's probably a great time just to chat about, like, the surgery. They're not going to
Right.
be like, Hannah, you do not qualify for this because you want to lose weight. Like, nobody's going to say that to you. But what's going to happen is I'll probably have way more sessions with the social worker, who has to approve it. So in
Yep.
Ontario, this is not everywhere. This is pretty typical for Canada, though. I will say, if you are a Canadian listening,
Listen
like
in.
80%, this is what you're going to deal with, regardless of what province you're in. But if you're American, this is probably nothing like what you went through. In
Mhm.
Canada, you must be referred to by your doctor. Sure, great. We actually both had good doctors that Steph's encouraged her to do this, and I brought this to my doctor's attention, and boy, were they overwhelmingly supportive. And
Oh gosh,
he was
yes.
so excited about this, and oh my, yes, like, and he talked me through every step and stage and why he thought this could be really great, and he would put the requisition in that day if I really wanted to. And this is not a doctor who, constantly harped on my weight or made me feel like, I love my family doctor. Way to go, Dr. Singh. Whoop whoop. But he's just a
Shout out.
wonderful human. And he was so supportive of this surgery. So you have to be referred by a doctor. Cool. That's for like most things in life. You can't just roll up and be like, hello, I'd like a bionic leg implanted, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So you get referred. And then you need to calm your tits, hold your horses, wait, because the average wait to have this surgery in Canada is honestly 8 to 12 months from start to finish. Now, you're not just sitting idly by twiddling your thumbs while you're waiting. You have to go through an immense amount of checks and balances. So you go in, you go to orientation. And that was kind of fun.
It
Steph and
was
I,
interesting. It
oh
was
Christ,
interesting.
we
The
talked
messages that
so
we sent
much.
back and forth. I remember during my orientation, I was text messaging Hannah throughout the entire time because it wasn't on camera. It was just like a WebEx meeting where
Yeah,
they
it's
go
virtual.
through. Yeah, it's like a high level overview of because there's two programs. You can do a surgical program or a nutrition program.
Yeah,
And
don't
so they're going
don't do
through
that one.
all of it. Don't do the nutrition.
Don't do
It's
the
just
nutrition one.
don't even go there.
It's a liquid diet for like a
Um,
month.
it sounds like the
Pure
worst
torture.
possible experience of your life.
Yeah.
And so they're going through the different ones, and the chats open on the WebEx. And the comments that people were putting in this chat, I was messaging Hannah like crazy. And Devin, my husband, was sitting with me because I said, I want you to have a say in this too.
Yes.
Like, this impacts you too.
Yep.
And he and I were just like, the comments about it was off the rails. And you could clearly go through and be like, oh, this is not for them. This is not for them. They're not going to make it.
Succeed.
Oh, this is not going to happen. They're going to quit after this. Like,
oh God. It's like Survivor. It's bariatric surgery Survivor. I remember vividly, I was at the dog park and I was like, oh boy, you know what? I should probably just give her a heads up because I obviously went through surgery first and I went through it alone. I didn't really have any friends that had done it, but I was messaging Steph saying, hey, be prepared. I remember being like,
brace yourself.
Here's all the questions you're going to get. When can I drink again? Can I start drinking now? Do I have to quit smoking? Could I smoke the day after I get out? When can
is
I have
pizza
McDonald's
on the post-op?
again?
Yeah.
When
I had somebody ask,
pizza?
Is pizza on the post-op diet? And I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Do I really have to do a liquid diet? Do I have to give up that much sugar? The hilarious one was the amount of times McDonald's was mentioned by name. They should fucking just sponsor the bariatric surgery orientation. Brought to you by McDonald's.
People were asking in my chat, is McDonald's considered soft food? Are French fries considered soft food? And
is
then
ice cream
is
soft
pizza
food?
Yep. Is pizza on the post-op diet? And it was like, and then like the alcohol questions about, well, can I still drink if it's low sugar? And I was sitting here and I just remember going, I can't wait to see in my next few meetings how many of these people dwindle down.
Yeah, and again, it's Survivor.
They very quickly did. They very quickly did.
Down they go, down they go. There's a lot of hot sauce questions, which I didn't laugh at because like people love them spices and them hot sauces. And
I love me my Franks.
Eat your hot sauce. Nobody gives a shit about hot sauce.
But I literally put that shit on everything.
We're not trying to judge the people in orientation.
No.
But like you're in an orientation for a weight loss surgery because I'm going to go out on a limb. You're obese and tired of being obese. And the number one question you have for that surgical team, when can I have McDonald's again? So it's
I think you need to reevaluate your situation.
You can just tell the nurses are like, Jesus Christ. And the nurses will just like, those poor nurses, but they'll basically be like, you can't really have that, folks. You can't
have recommended.
And before the questions start, by the way, it's not that it's just they don't give you info. They went through an 1.5-hour slide about no high fat, no high sugar, why it'll make you basically shit your pants. And it's like,
they're very clear about why this is in place. They're not just saying no to say no. There's reasons behind it.
And they give you all the reasons and the statistics. They also go through that horrifying slide of regain where it's like, oh my God, how many people? 30% of people regain?
30%. And not just, and I think to clear, regain all of their weight. And then some.
And then some.
We're not talking like a 20-pound regain.
No, because with this surgery, for those thinking of it, and this they tell you this, and there's nothing wrong with this, you'll get to your lowest weight, and then typically, not always, but typically, you'll gain 10% back. Not of your total body weight, of your new lowest weight. When you hit the lowest you're going, take that weight, 10% of that weight you'll gain back, and that's called your maintenance phase. And that is super normal for everyone. But once you're at your lowest weight, that 10% is probably 8 pounds. Like it's not much.
It's not a big deal.
And that's your new maintenance phase, which means if you did nothing different, you would just stay at that weight for the rest of your life, which maintenance phase, it's pretty dope. It's dope as hell. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to get out of maintenance phase because there's more weight I'd like to lose, but it is kind of nice for me to know if I wake up and literally change nothing about my life, I will stay here.
Good.
And like, fuck, I've never ever had that feeling before. It's pretty dope. But yes, they go through everything in this orientation and they tell you why you have to do the things you have to do. And then after all of that, people's burning fucking question is still,
can I have McDonald's?
Yeah,
McDonald's
but like
soft food.
But like I can have the burrito from Taco Bell, right? And I have to say I do feel bad because I think where these people's questions are coming from. Okay, there's two streams of thoughts here, and I'm going to offend some people on this.
Here we go.
I know, fucking hot takes from Hannah. Here we go. All right, we're going to get canceled in episode 1. Sorry, Steph.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, it's been lovely. She's not associated with me, so don't cancel her. I was the youngest person in my orientation by probably a goddamn decade. I was the only 30-year-old in my orientation. Everyone else was pushing 60. Now, good fucking
That's
for them.
crazy.
Way to put your hand up, step up, and say, I want to do it. I
Yeah.
suspect most of them did not put their hand up and say, I want to do this. I suspect most of them were told, you will be doing this because now you're diabetic, your heart's going to give out. Like, you
Yeah.
have really reached the point of no return. And you can kind of tell based on their questions, this was not their choice and that this
It
is
was a last
something,
resort for them, I
yeah.
think. It
And
was a this is yeah.
no one's forced into surgery. They don't go,
No.
but I think this was again kind of that Hail Mary. You do
Yeah.
this or you're going to be on diabetic insulin for the rest of your life, or you do this or we're going to put in a pacemaker or whatever. So you could
Mhm.
tell the ones that like were basically told this is kind of your only option. But
They didn't
being
necessarily wanna be there, or I don't think they had gone through the thought process maybe that we had leading up to, "Is this what I want to do?"
correct. So you can already kind of tell they're very not interested in it. And I get that. There's no way I could have done this when I like I'm only 30, but there's no way in my 30s, I should say. But there's no way I'm only 30. Add a couple years, but I'm in my 30s. There's no way I think I could imagine doing this at 60 after I've lived an
No.
entire life, been set
Nope.
in my ways. Many of them are married. That's a fun one that we'll get into later. Many of them are married for now. And it just seems like this is going to be the most massively hard thing in their entire life to do. And I get that. If I spent
Yep.
60 years doing one thing and you told me I have to like not even change it slightly, completely fucking upend and
Overhaul.
overhaul my
Overhaul. Yep.
whole life. And
Good
I'm
luck.
the only one in my family that has to. My husband gets to still do whatever the hell he wants. My kids get to do whatever the hell they
Yep.
want. And I have to be the only person in the whole family doing this. There's a reason 30% of people fail and regain their weight. And it's
Yep.
lifestyle and psychological. So I'm the youngest by a lot in this room. And I think that that was a big eye opener and problem. The older people really struggled with the notion of no fast food, no high fat, no sugar, no
No
drinking.
smoking.
No drinking was a huge and
It
still
came up on
is
every
every call.
call. Even my post-op, um, or I shouldn't say post-op, but the last call I had prior to surgery where we talked about the post-op meal plans and making sure that everybody was basically all set to go because our surgery dates were coming up really quickly. Even in that meeting, the amount of times that it came up still shocked me
Mhm.
because, as you said, we have to go through quite the process to get
Huge.
to surgery. We have to deal or not deal, but we have to have meetings with dietitians and nurses and
Yep.
social workers and internal medicine doctors and surgeons. And it's not one, like it's multiple of these appointments throughout the months leading up to your surgery.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised at how much it was still coming up in that last meeting before surgery.
Yeah,
I was
I
shocked.
I guarantee you that the day before people go under, they're still asking about when can I drink again.
Yeah.
And alcohol was a big one. So I haven't had alcohol since I entered the program in 2021. Jesus Christ, was it 2021? Keep in mind, like, just because I'm 2 years post-op, I had to enter the program well before surgery. So my
Yeah.
surgery was 2023. Holy shit, yeah, I entered November 2021. Thanks, COVID. I am a rare exception where it took me from November 2021 till March 2023 to have surgery. That is not the norm. Do not panic about that. That was simply because of COVID. So I had done all my approvals, but then I had to wait and wait and
You
wait
had backlog.
because the
Yeah.
hospital only allowed a certain amount of surgeries per day because then they had to do all this deep cleaning and it was just a nightmare. But now they're back to normal. So it's about 8 to 12 months from start to finish. You go in, you do your orientation. After your orientation, like Steph said, you have to do a ton of blood work and tests. They test everything in your blood. They want to know your full medical history. They want to know your psychological history. They want to know your family history. They want to know why you're doing it. So you will consistently meet over that year with a nutritionist that they choose. None of this is your own choosing. You'll
No.
meet with your nutritionist, you'll meet with your nurse, and you'll meet with your social worker, which is a therapist in Canada. And they will go through all the reasons that you're doing this. You might roll your eyes and say, why do I have to spend 12 months? Because it's basically every 2 months you're doing blood work and meeting for an hour to 2 hours with these people. And you have to do food journals. You have to do like psychology things. It's mainly just like exercises and thoughts and how did you get there and could you
Making sure you
handle
have the
this?
supports that you need.
Yes, do you have family and
Yeah.
friends? And they dive into like how'd you get to be obese? Is it binge eating? Is it emotional eating? Do you have, if you're someone who has like, you're clinically depressed, you're bipolar, you're on anxiety meds, like you will not be disqualified. They will work with you to figure
Mhm.
out the best step forward for you so that you're not off your meds for too long, so that this doesn't, hurt any progress you made. So like don't panic if you have a disorder that you're on medication for. They will work with you. You will not be disqualified. Even if you have cancer, you will not be disqualified. They will work with you. You will be disqualified if you refuse to give up smoking. You're done. They will not do this surgery on you because you are at high risk for blood clots, bleeding out during surgery, for horrible complications after. You are just not worth it if you can't give that up. And alcohol before surgery. You must give that up before surgery for the exact same reasons. But you will go through multiple meetings, multiple hoops, lots of work because they want to make sure you're good and goddamn ready to commit to this program.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference between Canada and the US, asterisks, for the most part. There are some clinics in the States that are like Canada. What I think Steph and I should point out, this is fully covered in Canada. That's a big
We
question we always
yeah.
get.
Mine, I looked back the other day. I was going through my binder. I have a binder where I've kept everything to do with this surgery, all my paperwork, everything. I paid, I think it was like $186 for my shakes for the liquid phase, the pre-op diet phase,
Yep,
and that was it.
that's it.
Everything else, I didn't pay a single penny. No bills were sent to me, nothing, which
The
is
only thing you pay
phenomenal.
for is your liquid surgery protein shakes, your 2 weeks of that. And surprise, we should add that in. Before surgery, you must go on a 2 week liquid diet. It is shocking how many people drop out of surgery as soon as they hear
During,
that.
yeah.
They
Yep.
literally pull out and say, I'm not doing
Not doing
this.
it.
Um, we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, it's fully paid for. So OHIP, which is our Ontario healthcare, or any province, I should say, it's not just Ontario, every province in
Canada wide,
Canada,
yep.
Canadian wide, will pay for 100% of this surgery. You just have to pay for your protein shakes for 2 weeks, which is like $180. It's really not much.
No.
Um, it's incredible that this is entirely paid for, and you don't ever have to pay it back or anything, but like it's entirely paid for because Canada has said it is better for us to cover this surgery because if not, obesity is a massive, no pun intended, drain on the healthcare system. It's
Mhm.
I At one point, I don't know if it's still true, it was a bigger drain on resources than heart disease, which is kind of shocking.
It likely
Like
is because we'll talk about it, but there's so many health factors or health
yeah,
issues that a lot of us with obesity suffer from. And obesity is kind
yep,
of the umbrella, right? Like obesity typically also means on top of being overweight, you suffer from
something.
XYZ.
Yep,
So when you add all of those up, that is a lot of resources that are being used up in the healthcare system.
yep.
So if we can knock out the obesity problem, and that's why a lot of us have this bariatric surgery, is because it will go hand in hand with clearing up a lot of these other issues that we all suffer from.
Exactly. And that's something that we'll talk about in a couple minutes is all the health related things before surgery, how often I was going to the doctor. Like you don't
Mhm.
realize, but it is a big drain. And by having this surgery and trying to eliminate the obesity epidemic, and I know people are going to be mad I say this, but you almost get better care. And I
Mhm.
don't
Yep.
mean because they think you look pretty, because they don't have to worry about, okay, you're obese. We now have to look at all the things that could
Yeah.
possibly come from you being obese. You can go in now and say, man, I'm really having chest pain. And they can go, okay, she's not obese. Like, let's get her right into an EKG and we're going to check XYZ and blah, blah, blah. Or, holy shit, my knee is just killing me. And now they don't have to run an EKG and check your heart and do all the things they have to do when you're obese because they think, oh my God, is this her knee joints or is this a heart attack or is this high blood pressure
Right.
or is this diabetes? Like you do get quicker, almost better care when you're not obese. So there's
Mhm.
a reason they pay for it. In the
Yep.
States, not always, but typically, it's not, you're not in a program like we were in, which is a shame. And
Yep.
then you see an overwhelming amount of Americans just pay for surgery. So they'll
Yeah.
make the decision. This is what they want to do. Their doctor will be like, cool, cool, cool. And they'll just fly to
There's
Mexico or
Yep.
somewhere in Europe. And
Turkey.
they'll
Turkey's a big
Turkey's
one.
a big one. And they'll just have the surgery. They'll pay $10,000 to $20,000. Fuck, I wish.
No, thank you.
And they'll just pay for surgery. Now they go to places that are nice and like medical spas and stuff, and then they'll just come home. And after having gone through this process, sure, at the very beginning, was I anxious and just wanted to fucking do it? You're goddamn right. I was
Yeah.
like, this wait is bullshit.
Yeah.
After, there's no fucking way I would have paid for this surgery. No
No,
fucking
definitely not.
way I
And
would have given this up.
to just be home and be alone
Oh,
and left
fuck.
to your own devices. Like I've looked at, I'll be honest, when I was researching this after my doctor put me in the referral and we talked about it, I went home and I like we all do, I social media'd and I Instagrammed and I TikTok and I went through the whole gamut of things. And the Mexico option came up so many times on my feed. And don't get me wrong, like the one that I continually saw, it looked beautiful. It looked amazing. The reviews were phenomenal. The price was somewhat not horrible. But to then, as you said, yes, you're it's like kicked out of there, looking good, feeling good. They're not going to send you home if you're sick, but to then be basically just dropped back at home with nobody to call, nobody to turn to, no resources, nobody really checking in on me. I can't imagine because the amount of questions that come up, the amount of changes that I have to make, the amount of unknowns. Is this normal? Should my body be doing this? Oh my gosh, my stomach is like making really crazy noises. Is this okay? The amount of support that comes from a program like what we did, I just, like I said, I can't imagine being dropped at home and have to just figure this out on my own.
Yeah. And I don't think I could do it. And I think a lot of people immensely struggle when they get home. The other thing that we were kind of told, and it might just be kind of a Canadian thing, is you could pay if you wanted to, because it does come up. There are people who have asked, could I go get this done? And they made it pretty
Yeah.
clear that you could, but like you will have no access to a bariatric clinic in Canada. You must be a
Yeah.
patient of the clinic. So if something goes wrong, you go to the ER like everyone else. And my mom, who's a retired nurse, was like, be careful, because in the States, a surgeon will not touch another surgeon's work. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're there for a medical emergency, which obviously, like, they have their oath to do no harm. You can't
Yes.
just set up an appointment with another surgeon and say, I had bariatric surgery and I don't really
Can
know
you
if it's
help me?
working. They're going to be like, nope, I'm not touching that, because they're liable. They don't want to mess with another surgeon's work. So the
Yeah.
benefit for us is we're part of a clinic. So if there's
We can
something
pick up
wrong
the
with
phone.
us, we go back to our hospital and say, we're a bariatric patient of the clinic of this hospital. Something's wrong. And in we go. And we go see our bariatric surgeon. Like, we go see our bariatric team for a year. You get to be part of the clinic for a year. Now, I could actually go back, like, it's been longer, but I'm not technically considered a patient of theirs. I'm now a post-op patient. Like,
Mhm.
I'm back in the care of my family doctor, but they're still there to help me and support me. They even have a support group, which is awesome. But that was the biggest fear for me, is if you went to Mexico, had surgery, and something fucking went wrong, you can't
Good
just
luck.
get on a plane and go back to Mexico and get it
No.
fixed. So now you have to try to hope that the records are correct and that a surgeon here is going to, like, again, if there's an emergency, anyone will see you. You know what I mean? But if it's
It just
not an
adds a whole nother
emergency,
level of complexity that you don't need when you're
no.
going through everything
And
else.
these are not easy. Like, VSG is, yes, low impact, pretty easy to be back on your feet. But when shit goes wrong with these surgeries, shit goes wrong with these surgeries. You could be vomiting for months. You could be dumping, which is like
You need help.
you're
You need
pooping
help.
yourself. Your bowels could twist. You could blow a suture internally. Like, it's not like you can see the stitches on your stomach.
No.
So if you
There's
blew
blood
a stitch
clots, there's
internally,
hernias.
blood clots are a huge fucking thing.
Yeah.
The other thing I would just worry about is my medical history, my medical records. Like, has that been conveyed enough? Um, my family doctor
Yeah.
knows me, so he would know better than some random other doctor I've never seen in my life if I'm not quite right, if something's up.
Yes.
So while we say it's not every American at all, a lot of them have wonderful programs and they stay close to home. There are a bunch that do pay for it. And that's fine. If you have the means and the ways and you want to, a lot of them are super successful with it. Just personally, I would never do that. It's easier before surgery to want to do that after surgery, and seeing all the things that I went through before surgery and the support I get after. Never. I would never survive, because the other thing that we go through before surgery is all of what we said: the testing, the questioning, the psychological aspect of it. And it's not horrible and it's not mean. It's literally to be like, Hannah, do you really believe that this is right for you? Can you sustain this? Do you feel prepared? Do you feel excited? Is this the right choice for you? It's basically letting them check in with you every month leading up to surgery to just say, is this still the right decision for you? And do
Yeah.
you have everything you need to succeed? I wouldn't pay, no money in the world is worth giving that up, because
No.
I would fail if I didn't have all of that. Because
The
this,
support system is key. It's
yeah,
crucial to being successful in this journey. 110%. And like I said,
100%.
the accountability and the support, without those, oh gosh, I'd be so lost. I'd be
Well,
so lost.
I'd be lost. And the other thing is, and this is something we've always wanted to talk about, is um, you like, you're kind of on your own, not in a bad way. So, yes, we get to be patients of our clinic for a year post op. Cool. But a lot of bariatric surgery is really on you. So after
Yeah.
surgery, you check in with them, immediately after and a couple weeks after that. But then you get kind of onto a 3-month cadence where you go 3 months without talking to your surgical team, without talking to your nurse, your social worker, your dietitian. Now, obviously, I had, on top of this, I found my own dietitian. I still had my therapist, who, she was so wonderful and learned so much about bariatric surgery, because that's all we basically talked about every month was, how do I meal prep better? And I'm scared to gain the weight back.
Yeah.
So I did have my own outside of that. But that being said, there's so many questions you're going to have. Is this normal? Should this feel like this?
Constantly.
Am I overeating? How many calories should I have? How do I find the macros I need? Like, you are consistently kind of out there to figure it out. Now, is the clinic always there? Sure. The clinic is busy as balls. So I email the clinic and they'll get back to me maybe a month later. If I have an emergency, I can pick up the phone and call
Mhm.
them. But a lot of
A
it is
lot
going to
of it is
be,
figuring it out.
yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Talk to your family doctor if you're concerned about and that, I'm not saying like any of my problems were like, oh God, I think I'm dying. But it was more, is this too many calories?
Yeah.
Is this too much? Am I
Is
am
it
I
supposed
allowed
to
to eat
feel like
this? Yeah.
this?
Oh boy, I threw up after eating this soup. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
Why am I so sweaty after I ate something I shouldn't have eaten? It's a lot of just, oh, okay, the biggest area you'll be by yourself and question you have. And Steph, I'm curious to hear if you agree with
Mhm.
this. The number one question that consistently came up for my entire fucking year that I
Yeah.
desperately seeked answers for was, am I losing enough weight?
Oh my, yes, 110% yes, because that's one area where we don't, we're not given statistics. So
None.
we're not really given, again, love our program, but in general, we're not given really good guidance in terms of how many calories should I be eating at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Is being this level of hungry normal, whether it's too hungry or not hungry enough? So, am I eating enough? And am I on track with where I should be in terms of weight loss? So, when I went for my post op appointment in person, I was about, oh my gosh, about a month out, little over a month. And up until that point, I had no idea if I was doing well. And so I went to that appointment and they said that I was right on track, which was phenomenal. It was such a relief to hear. But now, another month, another 6 weeks out, again, am I still on track? I don't know. Is this where I should be? I don't know. I'm happy with where I am today, but a lot of those questions are kind of left unanswered. There's a lot of Googling, there's a lot of messaging
Ah,
Hannah
the
and saying,
Googles.
is this where you were? Um, because that's kind of one of those missing pieces. And I 100% all the time am wondering, am I supposed to be on a stall right now? Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
the scale went up a pound. Is this normal? Did I do something wrong? So that is for sure an area where I think we're lacking a little bit in terms of guidance and support.
Yeah, and that was that was what led to a ton of Googling and a ton of
Oh my
searching for
gosh,
things was,
yes.
and I would ask the nurse and the dietitian. I even asked the goddamn social worker. I was like, how much weight have I, like, am I where I'm supposed to be? And they'd always give the same fucking answer. Oh, you're fine. Yeah. Yeah. You're
Yep.
right where you're supposed to be. And I was like,
Or you're
yeah, but
doing
like,
great.
am I at
Okay,
the
but
bottom of doing
yes.
great or the top of doing great? As
Could I
a,
be doing better?
yeah, as
Like
a
great is
super
good, but
perfectionist.
right. Right. It's definitely something that I am curious if that's, from what I've heard, that's similar to the other programs in Ontario as well.
Mm.
I'm curious to see. I have a friend who's just starting to go through the program in Hamilton. And so she's just waiting to get her surgery or get matched with her surgeon. I think she has one more appointment.
Wow.
And so I've said to her, we've been in close contact the whole time, but I said to her, I'm very curious to see what kind of post-op guidelines she's given around that, if any. So that's going to be something that I'm definitely going to poke and prod her for, because I want to know if that's specific to us or not.
And that's something that we'll do in another podcast episode is we'll actually take you through the differences between our program and a program literally an hour away from us. And then
Mhm.
also we're going to tell you the differences between my program and Steph's program. Even though we had our
Like, I thought you
surgery,
were in the same place.
we had the same fucking surgeon and we had the
Mhm.
same clinic. Like we both did this in a hospital called Guelph in Ontario, and we were 1 year apart. And sweet Jesus, the differences between her surgery and my surgery are
You would have
insane.
thought you would have thought we went to different programs.
You 100% would have thought that she was in some other province than I am. And it's so funny because
Yeah.
it's 1 year apart. And there's changes that I'm furious that she got that I didn't. But then there's also things that she's like, why, what the fuck? Like, you didn't have to
Yeah.
do this. And I'm like, I did not have to do that. And that seems
Right.
crazy to me.
Or consistency that you got
No
in your
consistency.
appointments that I didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so pros and cons that we both had when comparing. But yeah, there
Pros
was
and
many,
cons.
many voice notes sent back and forth where one of us would go, "Excuse me, what?
The
You have to
fuck?
what? You got what?"
I'm sorry. Yeah.
It yeah.
I was quite pissed
As
at one
we'll dig
point.
into it, but
Yeah.
agreed. When you had consistent, so when I had my appointments, I was always meeting with a different nurse or
Oh, that
dietitian or
sucks.
social worker.
That
And don't get
sucks.
me wrong, like they were the nicest people.
Oh, yeah.
Very helpful, very great. But it was always somebody different. Whereas Hannah
Mm-hmm.
had the same person every time.
Same
So there was a
people.
bit more of a relationship. The history was there. It was just more concise conversations probably than me having to repeat things and then having to go, hold on, I have to check your chart 1 second.
Oh, yep.
So things like that, which as we said, we'll get into a little bit more
Well,
down the
we'll
road.
do a whole
But
episode about,
yeah,
like, we'll take you through all the surgical things that are different between her time and my time. And
yeah,
then also we know people who went to a different clinic an hour away and theirs is totally different than ours. So we'll talk about all those differences and our annoyance with a lot of them because there was. And not to be mean, we love our clinic and we love what they did, but we're also going to talk in that podcast episode about some of the things that kind of piss us off, that we were like, this just isn't fair. And I'll give a very brief example. None of our post-op appointments are in person. So obviously, I think some of that started because of COVID, but like that was 4 years ago. But none of our follow-up appointments with any of these
for
people,
you, for you,
for me, I should
yep,
say. Well,
yep,
yours keep all getting canceled, but none of our follow up appointments were in person. And
yep.
so we have a little bit of a problem with that because being obese, you're very used to lying, hiding things, covering it up. Like we didn't get obese, in the dark, but we're really good at denying that we've eaten things. And like we just became good at covering
Sure, I
things
stuck to
up.
my meal plan this week. Of
Absolutely.
course I did.
I didn't eat enough. I'm actually starving myself because I only eat one meal a day. And like that's why I'm fat, because technically my body is in starvation mode. So it's going to hang on to all the calories I eat, even though I only eat one meal a day. That was
Yeah,
me. That was Hannah, by the way. That's what I used to fucking say for an entire year, that I'm obese, 315 pounds,
because I'm
because I
starving.
don't eat enough.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But I have 2 in-person post-op appointments,
Which
which
is
you never
like,
got.
yeah,
And they're
must
with
be
one
nice.
of them, my one post-op appointment that I have coming up in a week or so. You didn't even get any follow-up appointment with that
Nope,
doctor.
I did not. I did
Not
not
even a
see
phone
that
call.
Nope, did not see that
Yeah.
doctor after surgery.
So
But that my annoyance with no in person is it's going to be very easy for you to be like, oh, I lost this much weight, because they just ask
Yes.
you, how much weight have you lost?
What's
It's
your current weight?
going to be super fucking easy to lie about that. Are you
Hmm.
following the diet plan? Sure. As I eat
Yeah.
my McDonald's ice cream, I totally am. It's just going to be easy to lie and cover things up. And
Yeah.
I used to tell Steph this, my biggest thing is like, doctors need you to come in for the simplest things in Canada. Oh, do you need a refill on your prescription? You actually have to
Appointment.
come see your doctor to do that. Like, I know people are going to be like, the fuck? Yeah, literally this,
Hmm.
I don't know, let's say I take vitamin D, prescription vitamin D, because like I'm just low all the fucking time. I've been taking it for well over 2.5 years now. And every time my refill expires, I still need to go see my doctor to get another one, because the doctor just wants to lay eyes on you and make sure you're not missing an arm, gray, have open sores on your
You've
body.
gained 100 pounds.
My mom says this, like, my mom is a retired nurse, and she'll always say, patients fucking lie. All they fucking do is lie.
It's,
And
yeah.
it's true, we do. So like you need
Yep.
to put eyes on them. So that was my
Yeah.
biggest concern, was you didn't want to see me once after surgery to make sure I actually was losing the weight I said, to make
Yeah.
sure that I wasn't looking sickly or ill or dying. Like, so we'll cover that all in another podcast episode, because I get real heated about this, but it's weird to me that you don't want to see
It's
us.
very odd. Anybody in my immediate family also that I've talked to, they find it extremely strange. And
Yep.
my post-op with the surgeon was in person. It wasn't my surgeon; he was unfortunately unavailable, but it was someone who was still in my surgery,
Yes.
and that was in person. And then yes, I have one in about a week with the internal medicine doctor, which is in person.
Motherfucker.
But I know, and I'm actually surprised that one's in person. But as you said, the follow-up I just had a couple weeks ago on the phone, when they ask, "What's your weight?" I can make up any number I want.
Sure could.
It's shocking to a lot of people who I speak to. So
Yep.
we'll as Hayden said, we'll dig
We'll
into
cover
that
it in
a little
another
bit more.
episode. And I know there's going to be people being like, why would you lie? You just hurt yourself. Oh boy, this brings up a great point we wanted to talk on: obesity. Um, it's not like I lost those bad habits
Hmm.
of lying. So I'll talk first about when I was obese. I was
Yep.
315 pounds. I didn't just get hit with a fat stick and wake up that way. I now can admit I was a very large contributor to my obesity problem, because who else would be? Um, and I have a hot take on, yes, I do have some health issues that a lot of people contribute to being obese, but in my mind, they don't make you obese. They just add a little level of challenge to lose the
Some
weight.
complexity.
Yeah, but they in no
Yeah.
way make you and keep you obese. So when I was obese, I would definitely use the talk track of, well, I'm actually starving myself. Do you know I'm not actually eating enough food, and that's why I'm fat? Oh my God. And I would go all day with, like, I wouldn't have breakfast or lunch. I'd wake up, I'd sit on the computer, I would work, ba ba ba. And then come 3 p.m., I'd be starving. So I'd eat whole things of crackers. I would order takeout food. I'd have a burger and french fries. I'd need an appetizer and, of course, a dessert. So, sure,
Yep.
I wasn't eating on paper a lot of food because I was having a meal, but that meal was probably 2 to 3,000 calories.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the thing. Just because you're having one meal, if you're not tracking your calories, you don't realize that that one meal is actually way over the calorie count you're supposed to be having. I
Yeah.
would
You're
obviously
cramming it in there.
Yep, I'd binge because I wasn't eating enough and I was hungry, but I would lie to people. I'd use the talk track. I'm not eating enough. Nobody would see me eat, because when we were together, I just wouldn't
Oh
eat. But then
gosh.
I'd go home and order takeout or food or get food on the way home. I notoriously would eat in my car when I would drive on road trips to go see my parents, like, and then hide all that,
Hmm.
pretend I didn't. I never really made the best choices. I would make things at home, but I'd be like, well, I'm going to make nachos. And like, I still do actually still make
Yeah.
nachos post surgery. One of my favorite treats. But I would do a whole fucking bag of tortillas with like a half pound of
Hmm.
cheese. And then I would dip it in salsa and sour cream. Like, I was just making not great choices. Oh, I don't feel like working out today. Or, oh, you know what? I went to the personal trainer twice this week for an hour. Yay. And it's like, that's not doing fucking dick
No.
all at
No.
all,
That's
because you're there for an hour and you did like 6 fucking push-ups. Like, no, I wouldn't really walk because, well, I have this pain in my leg, like my leg's kind of going numb, and
I just
you
need to
know,
rest on the couch.
it has nothing to do with my weight, guys. Like, I must have something wrong with me. And so I'd make
Yeah.
lies about, oh, it's got to be my PCOS, or sorry, polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, which I call PCOS. It's my PCOS. That's why I'm fat. So I'll never
Yeah.
be able to lose the weight anyway. Oh, it's this nerve damage that I have in my leg. Oh, it's this. It's that, like, the lies and the lies and the lies. And I didn't
Yeah.
lie because I'm a liar. I was in self-denial, which a huge amount of obese people are.
Mm-hmm.
And I found I don't even know what the word is I'm looking for, but basically I gaslit myself with Reddit, which would
Yeah.
tell me it's not you, it is your PCOS. It's not you, it's
There's nothing you
society.
can do about it.
Yeah, you're up against
Yeah.
it. Also, you don't need to lose weight. People need to love you more. Like we're going to do a whole podcast on fat acceptance
Mm-hmm.
community, and buckle up, motherfuckers, because I am not their biggest fan, because I
Yeah.
do believe that they actually kept me obese for longer than I should have been. But obesity makes you a great fucking liar that you don't realize you are, because it makes you a victim. You're really good
Mm-hmm.
at like making yourself a huge victim, playing the victim card, and you're really good at believing that it's everything else except for you, and that you literally are the epitome of health and doing enough. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because that's how I truly believed I was, and I didn't think that I was doing stuff that was that wrong. And it wasn't until
Right.
now that I can reflect and go, that
Holy
poor
shit.
girl, that poor fucking girl needed somebody to just say, you're not doing yourself any favors, let's get help.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why I get annoyed when the surgery team does not meet with you in person, because that's what obesity was like for me.
Yep. And I think we talked about how, in the pre-op, you work with the nurses, the dietitians, the social workers, and you have those conversations as to why did you get here? What brought you to this point? Why do you think you're at the point where you need surgery? And then it's almost as if you have surgery and that magically disappears. Like you
Yeah,
said, those habits are still there. They take
still there.
time and work to break.
Yep.
We didn't said I didn't get to where I was overnight. It took years of
Years.
bad habits and health issues
Oh,
to
yeah.
get there.
Yep.
It's going to take me a long time to break those down and address them and work through them, and to kind of just assume that you've had surgery and now everything magically changes. And that's something that we'll dig into too, is the mental side of this. The physical element is obviously huge and a
Yeah.
big part of
Oh,
this,
yeah.
but the mental aspect of this is so big. And I know, I mean, I have many of the same issues and history that you do, in terms of the lying, the sneaking of the food, like eating in your car where nobody can see you. I would go out for lunch at work and go by myself instead of having lunch with people at work, so that I could go get my fast food, go park in the corner of the parking lot, eat it in my car where nobody would see
Yep.
me. And the justification, right? Like, I worked out today, I can have that whole cookie sheet of nachos,
Yep.
or I can have that burger. Or the other flip side is, okay, so let's say I had that burger for lunch. I might as well also have the nachos for dinner, because I already messed up my day with the burger. I'll start again
Yeah.
tomorrow. Well, no, let's be realistic. We know that the willpower is not magically going to show up overnight
Nope.
to make tomorrow a better day. Um, and I know, like, for me, that the sneaking of the food was such a big thing as a
Usually.
child.
Yeah.
I've been overweight since being a little kid. I was
Same.
always the bigger kid
Same.
from kindergarten all the way up.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge constant for me, was
Mm-hmm.
definitely the lying, the hiding, and the shame
The
that comes with
shame.
that. Like,
Yeah. You
it's
don't feel
wrong.
good about that.
No, do I want to be sitting in my car eating McDonald's in the back corner of a parking lot by myself?
No.
No,
Nope.
but I did it
Yep.
multiple times. And so that's a big one. And I think too, for me, we've talked about this a little bit, is cultural.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, in my cultural background, food is a big element of gatherings, love. You feed people. When you have people over, you have to have food. And it has to be an abundance of food.
Mm.
And even up until now, I'm so bad at that, where if Devin will tell me someone's coming over, my first comment will be, well, I don't have any food to put out.
I do the same thing.
That's immediately where my brain goes.
Yep.
And like, when we have family gatherings, the amount of food that my family puts out, you'd think we were inviting 6 families over.
Yes.
But everything culturally for us, food is a way that we share our love, and that we
Mm-hmm.
show people we love them, and everything revolves around that.
Yes.
And I remember being little, and this is something I'm really working on with my kids right now, and I've had conversations with Devin about it, is you don't leave the table till your plate is done.
Mhm.
And I'm really working with my kids on that's not a thing in our house anymore.
It
If
can't
you're
be.
full, you listen to your body and you're full. It doesn't mean that you get to say I'm full and then 5 minutes later ask what's for dessert. If you're full, you're full.
Yep.
But I'm not going to force them to sit there and finish their plate if their body is telling them
I'm
shut
done.
it down.
Yep.
So that's a big one for us because we were definitely well, you still have food on your plate. So sit your butt at the table.
You finish that plate. That plate, by the
Yeah,
way, that
because we
you
don't
didn't
waste
get to
food.
pack. You were
No.
given a plate full of food
Yes.
that you didn't get to choose.
Yes, because my grandparents came from wartime in Europe,
Yeah.
where and emigrated to Canada, and you don't waste things
You don't.
because they didn't have money, they didn't have
Yep.
those things. So I understanding where that's coming from,
Oh yeah.
but that was definitely something in our household. And then the flip side of that is you would get told by members of your family that you were fat. But if you then didn't eat the second helping of food or you didn't have their
You were
dessert,
ungrateful.
what, you don't like my food?
Yep.
Well, no, you just told me I was fat. So much of this, as I said just before, is the mind aspect of this
Oh yeah.
and the mind shift that has to happen and the mental work that has to go into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we didn't get fat overnight.
We did
We
not.
didn't get obese overnight.
Nope.
So it's not gonna happen. We're not gonna fix those right
No.
away.
And
It
that's
takes
why
time.
you need to have a therapist going into this. The therapists you'll get in
Yeah.
the program, they're wonderful, but you are patient one of 900 and they spend an
Yeah.
hour with you. You need a therapist. Even if you think you don't, therapy is not for just anxiety and depression and, like the usual things that people think of. I genuinely use my therapist to talk about bariatric surgery and dating, which is something that we'll talk about in another podcast.
Yep.
But literally, all we've been working on is accepting my new body, accepting compliments on my body. How can I better track my macros because I'm getting lazy with that? Working through how do you get rid of, thoughts about regain that are keeping you up and scaring you? Are you ready to start dating? And like, let's pull that trigger and get going. So go find a therapist because like Steph said, there's a lot to unpack here. And that's exactly what, I wasn't obese overnight. I've been chubby and obese my whole life. I was super bullied for it in grade school. I lived in Nova
Oh
Scotia where I
gosh,
wasn't.
yes.
And then I moved to Windsor. And that was just like the worst time of my life being in
Every
school in
day.
Windsor because
Every day.
kids would write, I would get Jenny Craig ads left on my chair. Like they would write 1-800-GOT-JENNY on a piece of paper and put it on my chair in school. And I like
Kids
just
are the
grew a
worst.
thick skin about it, became kind of funny, and also would have beat the shit out of most of them. And not gonna to toot my own horn, I've on to do a lot more than most of those motherfuckers. So
Right?
fuck you assholes. But yeah, I was teased all the fucking time
Oh
for
my
being
gosh. I cried like every day at school.
overweight, and I wasn't even that big. Like when I look back I go, are you fucking kidding me? But it was throughout the whole thing, right? So I would
Yeah.
hide my food because I didn't want to eat in front of people because they would make
Mhm.
fun of you for literally eating your goddamn lunch, or I wouldn't be allowed to have a Lunchable or chips if everyone else had chips because I'm fat. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be having
Yep.
that. Oh, pizza day at school? Don't let
Oh
them
my
see you eat
gosh.
pizza, you fat sack of shit. So like I would hide my food. I would literally, we always had dessert in my house. I would steal the dessert and put it in my bedroom so I could eat it
Yep.
later because I didn't want my family to see me. And I will preface this by saying my mother's an amazing person who got way better and had a lot of her own stigma and issues with weight herself. But she did not make it easy when I was growing up because she would call me fat girl. She would say things like, no one's ever going to, love you if you're fat. No one's going to find you attractive. Like she had her own issues with this. Don't get
Mhm.
angry and riled up in the comments. She has come a considerable long way from there, where she was very accepting of me at my biggest. She would compliment me on my style. Like she has learned the era of her ways, but you have to remember she was raised in a family of 7 in Nova Scotia where her father died young and her mother had to fucking raise these kids herself.
Yeah.
And back in the day, you weren't allowed to be fat at
No.
all. And she kind of was struggling with her weight here and there. So, it was not nearly as bad as I'm making it sound, but I would hide my food. I didn't want to eat. Being
Mhm.
fat in the 90s was not easy for kids these days. So
No.
that, obesity, you pick up a lot of things that you just can't shake and get over. You're your own worst critic. Mentally, you
Yep.
are super hard on yourself. You believe a lot of things, like everyone's talking about me or making fun of me. But also, the bigger you get, the harder it is to live in this world. I don't think, sorry, hot take. I don't think the world has to change to accommodate my body size. I do think like just stop watching people eat and judging them and all that jazz. But
Yeah.
do I think that everybody needs to retrofit hotels and airlines and everything to fit
No.
me?
No.
No, because at some
No.
point I have to get uncomfortable. At some point I have to hit rock bottom. And that's what
Yep.
led me to surgery. Like at one, like I was fine. I didn't realize how big I was. I was a size 3X and I didn't realize I had gotten that big. And I was on a plane and I couldn't close the seatbelt. And this is terrible. And please don't
Mhm.
tell the fucking FAA about what I'm about to say. I just put my jacket over my lap and pretended
Yep.
my seatbelt was buckled. I was like,
Yep.
listen, if we start going down, I'm too fat to come out of this seat anyway. So you're all fine.
I'm jammed in. I'm going to be
Yeah,
fine.
I'm not coming out of this fucking seat. If anything, use me as an airbag person next to me.
I've
But
I've done the same.
yeah, I covered it, I
Yep.
hit it, and I realized, oh my God, I need a seatbelt extender. And that's when I kind of realized I'm struggling to fit in a chair at a restaurant. I'm having
Mhm.
issues going down a hallway that's a bit narrow. I probably can't use the bathroom on this airplane comfortably. Like it all, I remember the
Yeah.
moment clearly. It was like when your life flashes before your eyes, all of a sudden everything just starts flashing. And I realized, holy fucking shit, this is rock bottom. You no longer fit into society. And I don't
Mhm.
actually think society needed to change all of those things to accommodate my big
No.
body because you need a bit of shame and rock bottom. So I said, this is it. I'm done.
Yep.
Ozempic was not a thing. It was not a big enough thing back when I decided to do surgery. But that's when I started Googling, I'm done. What can I do?
Yeah.
Bariatric surgery. I watched a ton of videos. I researched it. And that was my decision to have surgery. I went to my doctor. I said, hey, I need to have bariatric surgery. What do you think? And he was super open and welcoming. And that's how I got down that route. But um, obesity is a motherfucker. And we're going to talk about like what our life was like being obese because it kind of explains how we got to where we are. We're going to do a whole podcast on our life as obese individuals because we hope to never go back there again. But that's how I decided to have surgery was a very eye-opening. I'm putting my life in danger because I don't want to ask for a seatbelt extender because I can't
Mhm.
buckle this seatbelt. And it was on a trip with my mom. And I remember I'm taking her to Nova Scotia and I'm so excited to take her because we hadn't been in years. And seeing her have to cram in beside me, like the fact
Yeah.
that I could tell I was too big to be on this plane. And we
Yep.
took a photo, and I remember thinking, I feel so bad for her having to sit next to me.
Yeah.
And that was the day that I was like, no, I won't be the fat person on the airplane anymore. Um, and in no way do I think, was I mad and saying the airplane needs to change for
Right. It's
me,
not their
which I
fault.
think is the fucking dumbest thing I've ever
No,
heard.
you needed to have those experiences to, like you said,
Yep.
be uncomfortable, to open your eyes to say, "Oh my gosh, this is
Hmm.
where it's gotten," and I
Yep.
didn't realize it.
Yep.
And I think for a lot of us, there's been, whether it's one moment or whether it's a few moments that have built up to it.
Exactly.
And I know, like I did the same. Whenever I would travel for work, I would always wear, or just travel in general, I would always wear baggy sweatshirts so that I
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
cover the
The
seatbelt with the
seatbelt.
sweatshirt.
Yep.
I always sat in the window so that I
Always.
could like, squish as far against the window. The first time I have traveled, the first time that I've used a bathroom on an airplane was last June.
Ooh.
And I have been on airplanes so many times. I've gone to Europe on an airplane.
Yeah.
I've traveled multiple times on 3, 4, 5 hour flights and never used a bathroom
Nope.
because I was scared that
I
I
won't
wasn't
fit.
going to fit. And I don't want people to see that.
Never.
So I would go pee like 12 times before getting on that flight. I wouldn't drink on the flight because I'm not going to do it. And I just, yeah, for the first time used airplane bathroom last June. And then I too, like whenever I would fly with Devin, I would always insist on the window seat and he would get so mad because he wants the window seat. And I would kind of play it off as, oh, I did all the planning for our trip. That's the benefit I get of doing that. Ha ha
Mm-hmm.
ha. And then I finally explained to him one day, I was like, honestly, Devin, I'm like, I don't want my flab to be pushing on somebody else. And if it's going to
Correct.
push on somebody, I'd rather it be you. And I had to kind of blatantly put it out there for him, but I 100% like the airplane is a horrible one. Going to going to a concert that I had
Oh,
waited years
movie
to see.
theaters,
Years to
concerts.
see.
Yep.
Yeah. And the seats, we were up in the balcony and I just assumed they'd be the same seats as anywhere else, but they were like old, old. It was an old theater in Toronto and
Yep.
they were old wooden seats with iron sides on them.
Oh,
And I remember
fantastic.
looking at it just going, "Oh dear Jesus.
Yeah.
This is not going to be
I
good."
might not get out of this
And
seat.
yeah, but I didn't want it to be obvious to the people I was with. And I crammed myself into that seat so hard. And it was the most painful, like 2 hours ever.
Mhm.
Took away so much from this concert I had waited years to see.
Oh,
And then I remember getting up to go to the washroom the next morning. And as I pulled my pajama pants down, the elastic like skimmed my legs and I was in so much pain. And I thought, what the hell? And I looked at my thighs, and from like my pelvic bone to my knees was beyond black and blue
oh,
from
Steph.
being crammed in that seat. And I would thought, seriously, like this is what it is now. And then right before surgery and making that decision, we had talked about maybe going to Disney World with the kids.
Oh,
And I remember Googling and watching these videos and thinking, I'm not going to fit
yeah.
on over half of these rides. So, what am I going to do? Take my kids to Disney and sit there and hold jackets while they
Mhm.
go on all these rides with their dad, make all these memories, and I'm just going to stand there.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? No, that's not what this is supposed to be. That's not why I have kids. And I have PCOS as well. That was always an excuse.
Always.
I had thyroid issues. That was an excuse. I did fertility treatments for over a year. Did I 100% gain a bunch of weight from those medications? You bet your ass I did.
Mhm.
But that was an excuse. Did they all play a part in making weight loss more challenging? For
Absolutely.
sure.
Yes.
Absolutely, they did. But were they going to block me 100% from losing weight? No. It meant a lot more work, a lot more stricter eating, a lot more changes that had to be made. But to use them as a constant excuse, that it had to stop. It was enough of the lying to myself, enough of lying to everybody.
Yeah.
And like we said, I just needed this extra tool to help, number one, physically force me to change my eating,
Yes.
but then to also see that success, because once you see the
Exactly.
success, the momentum grows and it
Grows.
becomes addictive, and you're
Yep.
finally seeing your work and your labor come out in a positive way.
And that's something that we never
And
had
that's what I needed.
before. Yeah, and
No.
that's why it was hard before. We in our minds thought we were actually doing a lot of work. And I can actually look back now and go, "Bitch." But like, "Oh, I went to the personal trainer twice a week and I had salad," which by the way, salad, fuck salad. Fuck takeout salad. Do you know most of the takeout salads have like
It's like 1,000
900 fuck
calories.
salad. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. So that probably didn't fucking help me. But like I
No.
went to the personal trainer twice this week and we did no cardio. But that means that like
Yeah.
only weights is how you lose weight. I have hot fucking opinions on that too. No cardio. And I
Yeah.
ate like takeout salads every day. And then 3 weeks would go by of this. And I wouldn't have lost a single goddamn pound. And so it was
Yeah.
like just the worst. This surgery lets me see this is what could be possible if you don't give up on this plan. It
Yeah.
basically front loads the weight loss kind of journey. So you've lost the weight. Now it's up to you to maintain that. And a lot of people argue that maintaining is much easier. Like fitness gurus and a lot of experts and a lot of trainers will say, you shouldn't be failing in the maintenance, but a lot of you are because you go back to your old habits. But in theory, maintenance should be easier. And so I think that's where this surgery was born, was front load the weight loss and then
Mhm.
make them maintain the weight loss. And
Yeah.
now that my body needs less food, less, and I can move more, you need to exercise every day, not twice
Yeah.
a fucking week. You need to not
Yeah.
be eating 1,000 calorie salaries from fucking DoorDash. You need to like maintain. And I find it so much easier now, easier to
Yeah.
move, easier to breathe, easier to
Yeah,
do
but build
things.
that
Like
success
you
quickly.
need to see the
Get the
success.
momentum, get the momentum
Yes.
going. And I think because physically I cannot eat what I will say want to eat or what I used to eating, it frees up more of my time and energy and effort into focusing on building the new habits, getting my hydration in, moving my body.
Yep.
Because I'm number one, I'm not spending so much time eating. I'm not constantly thinking about all the meals I'm going to have today, planning out how I'm going to hide that McDonald's in my car. It's just freed up so much mental capacity and time for me to focus on the
100%.
things that are then going to help me once I get to maintenance phase, because I've built those habits already. I don't have to think about them. I've built those routines in. I'm used to drinking my liter to liter and a half of water. All of those things are already, that foundation has been built so that the maintenance can be easier. And as you said, that first 12 months of surgery, you're going to lose weight, most likely.
Absolutely.
There are some people, we'll still talk about who
Abso-fucking-lutely.
don't. But the surgeon at my follow-up, she said, the first 12 months is our gift to you.
Yep.
Enjoy it, leverage it,
Yep.
take advantage of it.
Yep.
Once those 12 months is over, the work is on you, girlfriend.
Hundo
And
P.
so, yeah. And so that's why I needed this tool to help put that physical block in place.
Yep.
But then help take some of that weight off of my shoulders and let me focus on what I need to focus on.
And we'll talk about
successfully
that in another podcast. We'll go through, because I'm 2 years post-op and Steph's 2 months, we're going to do a whole thing about what she's focused on and what I'm focused on. And I can actually talk to all of you about what it's like to hit the 1 year mark and what they mean by our gift to you is the first year. And then the hard fucking work kicks in, because it's true. So we'll do that in another podcast episode. But like, you nailed it, Steph. I think the best way to wrap this episode up is, where are we now? You know, what does life kind of look like for us? Because we talked about a lot of heavy shit and some depressing shit, but like, where are we now? And then why did we start this podcast? I think, you know, it's a great way to wrap things up for our very first episode. So do you want to start with where are you now?
Yeah, sure.
And, you know, why you think we started the podcast?
Yeah. So as I've said, about 10 weeks post-op, down 51.3 pounds as of this morning. Woo! So for me, a lot of it right now is just, as I said, focus on building my habits. I was a horrible water drinker before. So for me, water's a big one, but really just still 10 weeks out, working on the habits, getting my protein in, moving my body, getting my hydration in, tracking my food, and just really trying to make things a daily lifestyle change, part of my day, part of my routine, and working on not overthinking things. So that's a big thing for me, is just still getting into the routine, getting into the habit. And every day there's challenges every day. There's learning curves every day. I have to keep reminding myself, you're only 10 weeks out. I think because, knock on wood, things have been so smooth for me, I keep forgetting that it's only been 10 weeks. And there's days when I think, Steph, you're better than this, or Steph, you should be better at that by now. And then I go, oh shit, it's only 10 weeks.
Listen, it doesn't get better 2 years because I say the same shit to myself.
Right. So I think that's a big thing for me. But in terms of the podcast, obviously we've talked about, you know, Canadian versus American differences and helping to bridge some of that gap and get some more Canadian content out there. But I think a lot of it for me is just having more resources out there and really working to knock down a lot of the stigma around this surgery. There's a lot of outdated information. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of people who still think this is a walk in the park, or you took the easy way out. And for me, when I told a lot of people about this surgery, I didn't say when I told a lot of people, but when I started having conversations with my family, I'll be honest, the reception from them was not overly positive. And a lot of that was because of the stigmas. But I think a lot of it too is it's such a taboo topic still. And I know personally, growing up, I didn't share a lot with my family, with my husband, with my friends about what it's like to be obese on a daily basis. And we will dig into this because it's a huge topic, but just how much it affects your day-to-day physical and mental life and the toll it takes on you. And I think there's a lot of people in that situation who feel very alone, who I think it's important for them to know they're not alone. It is normal to feel like this. And I know for me, as I said, I didn't share a lot of this up until recently. And even I'm sure my family's going to listen to this and go, what?
Oh, my mom's probably going to be a
Pardon?
little offended.
They're gonna be, I think, shocked to
Mhm.
hear some of what has been going on
Yeah.
personally in my head over the last many years. So I think just knocking down a lot of those walls, breaking down a lot of those stereotypes,
Yeah.
and just acting as a resource for people because, like I kind of mentioned before, I did fertility treatments for years. Both of my girls are through open adoption. And going through both of those, I had such little amount of people to turn to
Oh, yeah.
because fertility treatments was taboo. Nobody talked about it.
Yep.
Having miscarriages, nobody talked about that. And so going through that alone was horrible.
Yeah.
There was nobody
It's
to talk to and nobody
isolating.
to turn to, 100%.
Yep.
And going through adoption, again, we didn't have a lot of resources there too. So if we, in my mind, if we can help even just a few people, number one, know they're not alone. Number two, dealing with a lot of those issues that come with obesity and making them feel that there is support out there for them and that it is okay to feel that way. And then number three, just acting as a bridge or acting as another resource to help bridge that gap between the US and Canadian content. For me, those are my big reasons as to why I was like, you know what, we need to do this. We need to get this information out there.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, I think you nailed a lot of the reasons that I think we did start this and do it. And there's a lot to dig into that we can talk about there that we will. So don't worry. All of it will be covered in later episodes. Um, but that was great. Where am
Thank you.
I now? I'm 2 years, almost 2 years post op. I still ask all the same questions Steph asks. So, surprise, you still kind of ask yourself, am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough? You constantly feel like you're just not doing maybe what you should be doing. And you need to really focus on celebrating the wins a lot more, but I'm getting better at it. So I'm almost 2 years post op. I've lost 150 pounds. I still have more I want to lose. I'm doing it in a very healthy and thoughtful way. It does get much slower after your first year. So I've actually been consistently losing, which is exciting. And I'm kind of exactly where I want to be. I am now a runner. So I ran my first 5K in July. I'm doing a 10K in 5 weeks in Disney. And then I'll be running my first half marathon in October. All of that is fucking insane to say because I could barely take the garbage out. I would get winded walking through IKEA. And now I'm a fucking runner. So I love it
Amazing.
too. I know that some people are like, ugh, exercise. Yeah, but when like your body's not 300 fucking pounds, running
Yeah.
is fucking fun. It sucks. It sucks. Like I'm miserable as fuck at 2 kilometers. I'm like, why are you doing this? This is terrible. Quit. Fuck. But then you finish a run and you're like, oh my God, this
Nailed it.
was fucking awesome. Like, I like competition. There's something about it I love. So it's insane to me to say that, like, I'm now a runner, but I'm really into meal prepping, health and fitness. I love talking about bariatric surgery. I just want to talk about it all the time and help people and, make it less stigmatized. But yeah, I'm in a great place 2 years post op. I'm hoping to hit my one weight goal by my second year surgery date. And I'm actually very on track to do that. And then I have another goal that I want to hit by the end of August. And I think realistically, I will be on that. Life for me, 2 years post op, it is not about spending 6 hours in the gym and super restricting myself. I
Mhm.
actually eat between
Yes.
1,300 and 1,500 calories. I don't think there's anything to be proud about to say that you eat less than 1,000 calories 5 years out. There is no medal for eating less than others. That's called an eating disorder. And we will talk about that later on, how
Yep.
this community is full of eating disorders disguised as healthy eating. But I comfortably eat 1,300 to 1,500, depending on the level of running. If I'm running a 7 to 8K that day, I'm probably closer to 1,500. And I'm still consistently losing weight on that. My goal is I will not super cut and restrict my calories, and I will not be at the
No.
gym 6 hours a day just to hit a
No.
weight loss goal. I want to hit my goals in a very measurable, meaningful way so that I enjoy my life and that my life is not all focused on you need to only eat 1,000 calories and you better be working out all the time. So right now my life is amazing. My meal prepping is great. I love the level of exercise I'm doing, and I'm still consistently losing weight and losing weight and losing weight. So yeah, realistically, things are really good right now. I still have a lot that I struggle with, and I can't wait to take you all through what 2 years looks like because now the fear is about regain, and boy, she loud and she in my voice. But we started this because I personally found that the communities were toxic as fuck. I found that there was
Mhm.
a lot of misinformation and there was a lot of influencers disguising themselves as bariatric
Oh gosh,
people. There's a
yes.
lot of nutritionists lying about being smart at what they do, and they're really just trying to starve you and get you onto unhealthy dieting habits. But the Facebook groups, the Reddit groups, my nurse and my clinic said you better get the fuck out of those communities now. They said overwhelmingly it's people who have not had surgery, people who failed at surgery trying to get you to fail at surgery. Because one
Yeah.
thing you'll learn after this is there are going to be people that do not like that you're bettering yourself. And so they're trying to make you as miserable as they are. And so they'll
Yes,
gaslight you, they'll
definitely.
try to bring you down. But that was a big, huge thing for me where I was like, there's no fucking solid information. And I'm tired of this nonsense, toxic bullshit. I'm tired of celebrating eating disorders. And I'm tired of people just, doing bad things and then calling it real. Oh man, I love that you had
Yeah.
McDonald's 2 weeks post op.
You're
You're
so
so
real.
real. No, she's a
No.
fucking idiot. Like, you
You're
shouldn't
breaking the
be.
rules and you're setting yourself up to
Yeah,
fail.
you shouldn't be drinking 6 pops, eating Doritos, going to McDonald's, and then ordering Chinese food and calling it real. You will not succeed in this surgery. Do not label bad, toxic behavior as thanks for being real. Get off the internet and stop looking for justification to do bad things. So I'm hoping that
Yeah.
we can be
Nailed it.
your harsh but loving Canadian besties that maybe tell you straight up, I don't
How it
think that's
is.
the best idea and here's why. But we just hope to bring you information that's solid from reputable sources like our surgeons and from like actual accredited places, not just made up bullshit. And to just be, again, your Canadian BFFs that are just here to shoot the shit and keep it raw and real. And that's why we made this podcast. I'm excited because we're going to have a lot of great things to talk about. They won't be as long as this episode. This is the inaugural episode, so bear with us. These will all get shorter, but you'll still get great topics like we're going to cover shitty influencers and Hannah's problem with toxic communities, dating,
Yeah.
macros, what it was like for us to be obese, the fat acceptance community, and why I truly believe that they are keeping people obese. We'll talk about things like keto and dieting. We'll talk about relationships. So obviously, I'm single and dating and trying to find me a husband. But Steph can relate to what it's like to go through this with young children and a husband. We'll talk
Mhm.
about some of the statistics around that too, where
Yeah.
there's a lot of people whose relationships end after bariatric surgery, not just with
Yes.
husbands or wives, but with parents and friends and family members. And we'll talk about why that's not necessarily always a bad thing. And we'll also do an episode on stigma and shame and why we really need to change the conversation on bariatric surgery and tell people who tell us it's the easy way out to go fuck themselves in the most polite way possible. But
I
that's
love it.
all the great shit you can expect coming up. If you don't like the swearing, well, tough titties, as they say, because I can't not swear.
Because we're keeping it real.
We're keeping it
We're
fucking
keeping it
raw and
real.
real. Now, Steph, are we going to agree on everything we talk about on this podcast?
Lord, no.
Oh,
Lord,
Christ,
no.
no. Christ,
And I
no.
think that's one of the important things out there, though, is this journey is different for everybody.
Yes.
The journey leading up to surgery is different for everybody. We are different people. We have different pasts, different experiences with things, different
Yes.
histories, different personalities, and we have different views on things, and that's okay. Is
Totally
one
fine.
wrong and one right?
Nope.
No. You're allowed to have
I
your
mean,
different
I'm
thoughts.
right all the time. No.
Obviously not.
For
But
reals.
that's okay. And there are even some of the things we've touched upon today, Hannah and I already know once that topic hits, look out
Yeah,
because
we don't agree.
we have already not agreed on things in the past. But
100%.
that's just part of I think the fun of this. And
It is.
it's important to hear other people's opinions and get that rounded view of things.
Mhm.
So again, be prepared.
Yeah.
Just be prepared. It's
So
going to be fun, but be
It's going to be
prepared.
funny as balls, guys. So follow along on social because we're going to obviously post our episodes, but so much more. Like we're going to post recipes that we think are total horse shit that you shouldn't eat because they taste like garbage. We're going to post some what we eat in a day, but we're actually going to show you what we ate of that what we eat in a day, not just here's a photo of a
Gosh,
pretty
yes.
breakfast. You guess if I ate it or not. We're going to post our exercise things too so that you can see what a 2-year post-op exercise routine looks like, what a 2-month post-op, and just more about like who we are. There's
Just
a
our
lot more
life.
to us than bariatric surgery. I'm a potter. I'm a runner. I play video games all the goddamn time. I have a dog that's annoying as hell, but I love the crap out of him. Steph has children and a really fucking adorable dog and does a
He's
ton
already
of
busted
shit.
through the door twice. I'm surprised we haven't heard him.
I'm
I've already
surprised
kicked
Bo
him out.
hasn't barked either because
But
he's
yeah, I think
huffing and
just
puffing over here. Like, get
just
off the
our life,
podcast.
like, and how we work this into our everyday life and
Yes.
what that looks like for us, because we still do have a life, and that's an important part of this, is how do we make it work? So
Exactly.
there will be the bariatric stuff, but there's also going to be just the fun, shoot the shit everyday life stuff. So I can't wait for you guys to
follow
listen to this
along,
and
folks.
give us your feedback. As
Yes.
Hannah said, this one's a little long because we want to make sure that we're giving everybody an idea of what's coming and what's out there.
Yep.
But give us your feedback if there's things that you want to hear, things you didn't like. Please let us know. We're just getting started here. We're newbies here, so
topics you want us to cover.
This is what you want.
Yeah. What do you want to hear? What should we cover? Follow along on social. Thank you for supporting our first episode. You know, these are going to get better and better as we go, but we just appreciate you all. We hope to build a really good community. So start those conversations, be polite, be respectful, but disagree. That's the big thing we agree on. You don't have to all get along and agree, but you better be fucking respectful of people. So we can't wait to see you next week. We're going to drop an episode every week. This is our first one. Our very next episode is going to be my favorite topic, influencers in the space. We're going to talk about everything from eating disorders to why some of them are shit to why nobody shares macros and Hannah loses her fucking mind. But it's going to be a great one next week about influencers in the space. So follow along. Thank you for tagging along. Steph, thanks for recording the first episode.
Thanks, Hannah. This was awesome. I can't wait.
Can't wait to see you at the next one, Steph.
Thank you.
All right. See everybody
Bye,
later.
guys.
Have a good week. Drink your protein.
Talk to you.
Or eat it, whatever.
Or eat it. Just get it in.
Eat the protein. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.